Good afternoon and welcome to Kamco Invest's investor meeting that will be discussing the company's performance during the 9-month period for the year. I'm Mustafa Zantout, Director of Marketing and Investor Relations, and joining me today are Mr. Faisal Sarhout, CEO, and Mrs. Hana Taha, Chief Financial Officer. Our agenda for today will cover a brief introduction on the company, an overview of the events that took place during the period. Then we'll move into the company's business and financial performance. And finally, we will answer any queries that you might have. Kamco Invest is a regional non-banking financial powerhouse. We're headquartered in Kuwait with regional offices or subsidiaries in Saudi and the IFC and a rep office in Turkey. We provide comprehensive range of investment solutions ranging from asset management to investment banking as well as brokerage. Today, our assets under management stands at $12.9 billion. We were recently ranked by Forbes Middle East as the largest asset manager in Kuwait and the 6th largest in the MENA region. If we look at investment banking, since inception, we have worked on several mandates worth around $30 billion US. If we look at the period that has passed, oil prices dropped to below USD $100 per barrel, marked during the quarter, and remained at these levels since August 2022, and ended the quarter around the 80s. Lower prices were mainly led by lower demand due to recessionary pressure globally, the lockdowns in China, and the release of inventories from strategic reserves. Brent futures witnessed its first quarterly decline this year during Q3 2022, and prices declined each month of the quarter. If we look at inflation remained at decades high levels globally and have seen world central banks taking measures by front-loading their interest rate hike cycles. The impact of inflation on economic growth expectations were apparent in the IMF's recent release World Economic Outlook that slashed 2022 real GDP growth expectations for key markets, including the US, China, as well as India. If we look at the GCC countries, inflation remained largely under control, mainly led by two factors. First is the internal policies that protect commodity price rise, as well as lower impact of rising energy bills, which is usually subsidized by some of the governments. If we look at the equity capital markets, global markets declined for the third consecutive quarter this year and recorded one of the worst declines during the first 9 months of the year, where MSCI World Index dropped by 26.4%. The decline was broad-based across markets. We see that emerging markets declined by 28.9%. US and Europe markets declined by more than 20%, and Asian markets declined by around 28.1%. If we zoom into the GCC reported the second decline during the quarter, dropping by 1.1% and almost whipped off gains since the beginning of the year. The third quarter decline was mainly led by Kuwait and Saudi, where Kuwait reported the biggest decline of 4.1%, followed by Saudi Arabia with 1%. We'll move on to Boubader on the business to take us through the business and financial performance. Boubader.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Okay, well, thanks, Mustafa, for the overview. And just to highlight, it is a very turbulent time in general for markets and economies, not just in the region, but across the world. So we're seeing a lot of the markets go up and down during periods, and this is natural when there are changes. Of course, there's the impact of the inflationary and higher interest rate pressures that are forcing a lot of these changes. It's not the purpose to go into that, and thanks, Mustafa, for covering that. If we just quickly talk about the performance at a glance, of course, year-to-date profits stand at around 3.8 million. When you look at the critical income statement side, you'll see that the fee income has gone up in the 9 months compared to the 9 months of 2021 by around 2.6%. And the thing that, of course, we always are happy with is that a lot of our in this case, 81.1% of our total income comes from our fee income generation capability. The G&A expenses side declined a little, but stayed flat for the same period as compared, while liabilities have dropped, and our cash and cash equivalent has dropped as well by around 10.3%. A quick review of what has been done critically during the year. Of course, looking first on this slide at the asset management pillar of the organization. Today, during the year, Kamco was ranked as the 6th largest and the largest Kuwaiti entity by Forbes Middle East in their publication of 2022, and this is a 2-place increase compared to 2021, where we were ranked 8th. Equities and fixed income team, quick overview, of course, continuing to outperform respective benchmarks. If you look at, we'll state 3 funds here. Kamco Investment Fund is the #1 conventional fund, Kuwaiti conventional fund. The #2 conventional Kuwaiti fund is also Kamco Premier Market Index Fund, the first being at 8.13 and the second at 6.31 in the 9-month period. On the Islamic front as well, Al Durra Islamic Fund is the top performing fund year to the 9 months. So we're very pleased with our funds being among the top performing in the first 9 months of 2022. On the real estate side, there's been also a very busy period. 3 new properties, 1 in Germany and 2 in the US, in Dallas and New Jersey. Those transactions that happened have resulted in a total AUM for the real estate, international real estate that we hold, of $1.9 billion. Of course, our focus area has been and continues to be in the US, UK, and German markets. Today, we have a total footprint of 4.31 million square feet, and the annual distribution those assets are generating is 7.7%. Quick note on the venture capital side, we launched, of course, and raising funds for the Jedi Fund, which continues to be directed to qualified investors and approved by the Kuwait's CMA for that purpose. On the private equity side, there's a lot of activity that is at the liquidation stage for several of the portfolio companies, while at the same time, there's a building up of transactions to the pipeline, and there's a healthy pipeline of potential transactions for new initiatives and products. Moving on to the other 2 pillars, investment banking and brokerage. On the investment banking side, of course, 6 key transactions that have occurred during the year, and the strong pipeline as well, as we continue to close some of them during 2022, the last few months of the year, and for 2023. The brokerage side, of course, Al-Ula Wasata is the brokerage arm of Kamco Invest, continuing to strengthen its competitive position, attracting new clients, and growing trading value on the Borsa by 21% compared to the same period last year, to the same period last year, and that increase is generating 29% increase in commission income generated in the same period. Mustafa mentioned our regional office. Of course, they are continuing to be strengthened in those markets, especially in Saudi Arabia and UAE. And they are continuing to increase their contribution to our core businesses, especially on the asset management side. Of course, we mentioned this earlier on, but we just would like to reiterate that having released our first sustainability report for 2021 and following up on how that is evolving in 2022, inshallah, in the future, we'll update that for you. Now, this report, of course, covers critical global frameworks like the Global Reporting Initiative, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs as they call it, the Borsa Kuwait ESG indicators, and of course, the new Kuwait pillars and the development plan for the country. Just a quick highlight, I mean, it's been, as I said, a tough market period, and our AUM stands at 4 billion KD, over 4 billion KD, which is around $12.9 billion US. And this is a trajectory showing that since the inception of the company, the growth has been at double-digit figures in terms of growth of its assets under management. I think with that, I'll hand over to my colleague Hana to go over the financial performance from an income statement and balance sheet side in more detail. Thank you, Hana.
Thank you, Bubadil. We'll start with financial performance and the income statement analysis. Fee income increased by 2.6% and remained the core of our income, representing 81% of the total income. Total income dropped by 22.6% to reach 16.97 million KD. Total fee income reached 13.4 million for the 9 months ended 2021 and 13.8 million for 9 months ended 2022. Total income 21.9 million for 2021 9 months and declined to 17 million for the 9 months ended 2022. We can see here the main decline, the decrease from 4.5 million to 399,000 KD in net gain on financial asset at fair value through profit loss, severe impact from market decline, and also share of result of associates from 2.2 million to 806,000 KD. Next slide. General and administrative expenses dropped by 1.5%. General and administrative expenses to fee income stood at 0.82 times. Net profit 3.8 million for the 9 months 2022. Total general expenses 11.5 million 9 months ended 2021, compared with 11.3 million KD for 9 months ended 2022. Finance cost in the same level from 1.6 to 1.65 for the same period ended 2022. And earning per share from 23.9 fils per share to 11.1 per share 9 months ended 2022. Next slide. For financial position, total assets dropped by 2.7% from 129.7 million as of December 2021 to 126.2 million September 2022. Cash and the cash equivalent representing 25% of the total assets, and investment to the total assets representing 48%. Cash decreased from 35.1 million to 31.5 million. Loan and advances from 6.2 million to 4.9 million. Next slide. Liabilities and equity. Total liabilities dropped by 6.7% from 65.5 million to 61.1 million KD. Owner's equity stood at 61.5 million, up by 1.78% from 60.4 million to 61.5 million KD as of September 2022. Net debt to equity 0.22 times, and credit rating by Capital Intelligence as of May 2022, BBB long term, A3 short term, and a stable outlook. Thank you.
Thank you, Hana. We have a couple of questions raised. Bubadil, one is about if you can give more shed light on the business model and the contributors to the income statement?
Of course, I think when you look at our business model, it is highly focused on business that is fee income generating. And I think it's important for us to state that this is a major component of our total income. It is a sizable component. It is the largest in our market, and it covers the aspects that are generating core activities from the asset management side, the investment banking side, and the brokerage side. And those are the three areas that we are focused on. So when we talk about the asset management side, whether it's managing client equities, and when we talk about our 4 billion KD of AUM, has different classes, that are generating income and fees. You have, of course, our investment banking activity, which covers the three aspects of equity capital markets, debt capital markets, and advisory. And all three are active, not just in Kuwait, but also regionally. And of course, our brokerage activity, which is maintaining its positioning and growing within a highly competitive market space, and also anticipating changes in this market space. So, when you have more of the qualified brokers and some more instruments in the market, the brokerage will also take benefit of that as well. So those activities are part of the business model. And of course, we have our own investments in the market and our funds that are generating profits and sometimes unrealized losses, depending on how the market moves.
Bubader, mentioning the assets under management, one of the questions is why is there a drop in the AUM during year to date?
We always focus on growing our what is called in the industry quality AUM, or the higher fee-based AUM, and that I can say is growing. What has dropped in the AUM, of course, there is the market impact that has had. It's the entire market in this quarter has dropped, and this drop impacted the valuations, which impact the AUM values. So that is one point. The other point, of course, is that there has been some net outflow, but primarily and critically from the low income generating portfolios and activities that we do. So the impact on our fee side has been minimal, but the size has also gone down by a combination of two things: markets going down and outflow of the lower side fee generating AUMs.
We have one question about the interest hikes and what's the impact on our cost. Hana,
increase in interest rate will affect our expenses on loan and floating tranche of the bond. Nevertheless, the impact is not material for the current year, as we see this year 1.6 to 1.65 till 9 months.
Okay. And regarding the cash that we have, there's a drop of around 10%. Can you clarify that, please?
Yes, the drop in cash was mainly due to the cash dividend distributed during the year. And it was for the last year, 2021, about 4 million KD distributed in the year, and some settlement of our liabilities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. These are the questions that we have. I think we're coming to the end. Bubader, do you have any word, any closing remark?
I think I would just reiterate what I started my side of the discussion with, is that we are in a turbulent period, as you've highlighted the markets and what they've done. If you can go back to that market slide, please. I think, this slide, I think, if you look at what's been going on, if you look at the international markets, even the emerging markets, which we are a part of as Kuwait and as the GCC, has had an overall significant drop. So that kind of turbulence is tough. the indices, most of them have gone down in the third quarter. And of course, the overall returns, the first quarter was a strong quarter for the GCC, but the second, and partially the second quarter as well, but the third quarter has been a tough one. However, still we can see that the MENA indices are on the positive side. So my just concluding remarks is that we're in a volatile period. We have a lot of issues to deal with. So our approach, and just to highlight, we know we're being as careful and as prudent as possible. And still, we don't know. I don't think anybody can claim to know the eventualities that happen in the economic and the financial side. However, the indicators of the volatility remain. High inflation with the efforts to control inflation, interest rate hikes, still there might be more to come globally. And stabilization is what everybody is seeking to go back into a normal phase. So just with that really said, as Kamco, we are looking through our business model to operate given that environment, and we're feeling that despite all these difficulties, hopefully we'll do our best to achieve our objectives for the year end and for 2023, inshallah.
Thank you, Abu Badr. Thank you, Hannah. With this, we come to the end of our investors meeting. We thank you all for your participation. We would like to inform you that the presentation will be available under our investor relations section on our website, kamcoinvest.com. And should you have any queries, please visit our IR section on the website or email us on investors@kamcoinvest.com. Thank you, everyone.